Hey you guys, I am here with Keith from Hunter RMV. Before we look at this awesome rig, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company, how it started, what you do?
We started the company about 4 years ago. I had a Class A diesel pusher and realized I couldn't take it to the places I really wanted to get to with my young son. Came to one of the first Overland exhibitions, talked to a couple of the builders, realized I'd have to spend $750,000 on the truck I wanted.
Right.
Got together with some guys I know and we said, why don't we build one?
Right on.
And then people said, hey, can I get one of those? So we've, over the last 4 years, evolved our builds. This is the latest build, our Hunter Predator EXP. I think it hits the sweet spot for an overlanding rig.
So there are different options. So this is based on an LMTV. Correct. And then there are different platforms. There's the 6x6, the 4x4.
Right.
Tell us about this one. Why is this a sweet spot?
This is an Acela platform, which means it's a totally refurbished, as new LMTV. Literally, they take the LMTV apart, sandblast it, replace around 400 pieces of equipment. So you really have an as-new truck.
Right.
With a Caterpillar engine, Allison transmission. It's a really service it anywhere, drive it anywhere.
Right.
Reliable, quiet, fuel efficient relatively for the size, and really a comfortable ride in the cab. It's nothing like, we've had some military guys come, oh, I used to drive these. It's not the same.
I never want to drive that thing again,
no,
but it's different.
No, air ride seats, really good air conditioning, and a lot of acoustic work, so it's a very different kettle of fish.
Do you prefer this to, so your company will work on a 6x6 platform or a 4x4 platform, right?
And we're currently building on the Mitsubishi Fuso platform.
Okay.
Soon to be starting on a Ford F550 and International.
Oh, very cool.
So we do build on different platforms, but we're small and we want to keep it that way. So the lead times are quite long.
Copy. Well, this isn't an impulse buy, right? Or at least I would think maybe it shouldn't be. Somebody doesn't wake up in the morning and go, oh, okay, hey, can you send me one of those trucks, right? It's something that
We do get phone calls from people saying, I'd like one of your trucks now. And we're like, well, sorry, I mean, get in line. Anyway, but this one, it happens to be available after the show. This is a show truck and it is
very
available.
Cool. Very cool. Well, I'll drive it around the country for it and advertise it if you would like me to.
I've had a number of those offers.
So tell me why, we talked a little bit yesterday, you like the 4x4 platform. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that.
First of all, from a purely operating perspective, it's under 26,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating. You can drive it on a regular license, maybe with an air brake endorsement, depending on what state you're from.
Yeah.
They are, when they're sold, they are registered as an RV, so it really doesn't matter at that point. But it's very maneuverable. The short wheelbase, the overall length of this is 23.5 feet. Right. And a short wheelbase, probably around 15 feet, means you can turn it around in a road very easily. The 6x6, we can put a bigger box on, a longer wheelbase in the entirety. Slightly worse gas mileage on a bigger rig, 6x6. But really, for most people, for a couple or three, this is a good sized vehicle.
Very cool. Could you compare this with a Unimog? Is it comparable?
It is. I mean, I think the Unimog with its portal axles is probably the very best off-road vehicle.
Yeah.
But this is a mountain goat. I mean, it was designed for the military to go anywhere, and it literally will. Yep. This is a lot better on the road than most Unimogs.
Right.
And that's the difference. And you will spend, I don't care how much of an ardent outward bound guy you are, you'll spend 80% of your time on the road getting there.
Right.
Right? So when you look at it, this is supremely capable off-road.
Yeah.
But it's very nice on-road. I mean, my guys drove it 1,100 miles in from northern Nevada. They got 8.4 miles per gallon. The air conditioning was so cold they had to keep turning it off.
Yeah.
They can have good conversations. It's not a Unimog. This with a high-speed gearing cruises in the high 60s.
Very cool.
Cruise control. You know.
So that is the trade-off, right? Yeah. And most of the folks that are going to see this video understand all kinds of different overland vehicles out there, everything's a trade-off, right?
It
And
is.
so the more off-road capable you lean, you start sacrificing some of the on-road.
Sure. So I think this is a
ability.
good mix. I mean, this
Yeah.
is very capable off-road. We've built this particular one with what we call the low-profile box, keeps the overall height down, which is again an advantage off-road.
Yep.
And in windy conditions, you get less of the sail effect. So it's yeah,
Very cool.
it's got a good balance. While we're out here, I just
Yeah,
want to
please.
say we built a 4-point articulating subframe so that this box has tremendous ability to move independent of the chassis. So again, in an off-road situation, you're not going to break your box.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, we have
Oh, I see.
we have our trunnions
Yep.
front and rear, and
Yep.
the box will be able to go this way and
Yep.
this way.
Okay.
So that it's definitely isolated from the chassis of the vehicle.
Got it. Is the cab itself?
The cab rides on airbags, so
Okay.
so that the cab is so you. I mean, we've demonstrated this, I think, on some photos or maybe videos where you can see the difference when the articulation is at an extreme point.
Got it.
So
Very
yeah,
cool.
It's a well thought out build.
How do you change a tire on this thing?
Well, it's doable. When we sell these, we supply a tire change kit, and what that consists of is 2 long poles and 3 long poles. One having a big socket welded to it, so it's a breaker bar. Okay, because
Got
obviously
it.
these are big lug nuts.
Yep.
The way it works is you would electrically tilt the cab. You go inside and release your tunnel.
Yep.
Electrically tilt the cab forward. Hit this button, the crane will come out, you will drop down the tire, the spare.
Got it.
You would break loose your nuts. You also have to disconnect your CTIS, which is just a couple screws.
Yep.
Then you pull this 350-pound tire off. Okay, you can use the crane to help you with the chain. You then take your tire that's come off the crane and roll it into position. We have air jacks,
Okay.
basically off the compressed air
To
system.
accurately position.
Yeah, and you just basically inch the tire onto the lugs.
Got it. And
So you're not lifting 350 pounds. You're using leverage.
right.
And so it can be done for one person. Now, obviously, when you have a truck like this, and 80% of your time is on road, and if you have a blowout on road, you'd call a truck, CoachNet or somebody, and they would send a big truck guy with all the gear. He would do it. And we've had that done before.
Right.
But you need to be able to know how to do it if you're in the boonies.
Yeah.
And you got to do it yourself.
Right.
But it is possible to do.
And you don't want this. So in that whole process, I noticed at no point in time are you laying the tire down.
No.
The tire's always
Well,
upright, roll it.
If you have to lay it down, then you use the crane.
Right.
And attach and then hoik it up. So you're not physically doing it.
Got it.
I'm not strong enough to do that. 350
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah.
Little much.
So when you disconnect the pass through, this whole thing rocks forward.
Yeah. It comes forward. Basically, so this basically, the bumper's fixed. This basically touches here.
Got it.
The other thing that we should point out while we're talking about that is that what we do under the fairing, and the fairing's there for 2 reasons. One, it's an aerodynamic aid for the box. It also protects the box if you're in the trees.
Got it. Yeah.
And the sweep rails take the tree limbs over the solar panels.
Yep.
Okay, so that's all part of the design. But when this is forward, you can easily load inflatable kayaks or whatever into the big basket, rooftop basket. You basically climb up here, and this is the built-in ladder, gets you up to the rooftop basket.
Got it. Got it. Very cool.
So, it's
What
a
is
little bit of integration.
What is the fuel capacity and range?
Okay, fuel capacity is 113 gallons.
Okay.
108 usable.
Okay.
So say coming in from northern Nevada, they average 8.4 miles to the gallon.
Copy.
I would say, we like to say that the range on this truck is between 800 and 900 miles, which is pretty significant.
That's very significant. Yeah. So my 80 series Land Cruiser, the range is about 230 miles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
No, that's a lot of range. That's great.
Under here we have the auxiliary generator, and here is your air system. We should talk a little bit about that. From the cab, there is a computer set up that the military designed called CTIS, and you are able to set your tire pressures from the cab. So let's say you're getting in some really soft sand on the beach.
Yep.
Air down your tires. You hit the sand button, you'll go down to about 20 psi. Okay. The moment you drive out of that and you can get back on the hard surface, hit the highway button, and it brings all 4 tires back up to 65, I believe, on this particular rig.
That is excellent.
So
that is awesome.
That's a great.
Yeah.
You know, that when I say it's a mountain goat, it really is. I mean, these trucks can go anywhere that you dare take them.
Right.
You know, so it's a nice system.
Yeah,
and
that
there
is
are
excellent.
people, there are always naysayers in life, and there are people that say, oh, CTIS is a troublesome system. It is not. It is troublesome if the truck is sat for years and years, as so many military trucks do.
Right.
What happens is moisture builds up in the valves, and around the seals, corrosion starts. The seals start to leak. So one of the things a seller does, and we do, is they completely take the hubs apart, make sure that all new seals are put in, that there is no corrosion present. And as long as you use the truck once in a while, you're not going to have an issue. For the truck per se, being that it's a Cat 7.2 litre turbo diesel and an Allison 7-speed transmission, any big rig truck place, Cat dealer can take care of it.
Right. And so that's an excellent point, right? So it's Caterpillar Motors, very serviceable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
And so, you know, people are like, well, where will I get parts? The only, really, very, very few are proprietary to an ex-military truck. CTIS, one of them, but again, the computers are available, the valves are available, the seals are available, and as long as it's done right, I don't anticipate anybody really having issues with it.
What else should we take a look at?
Let me see what we have here. We have we fabricate storage boxes, and you know, we try and use
Very cool.
without. Somebody would say, well, why did you put a box here? Well, you need to have your wheel articulation.
Right.
You know, if you're going to off-road, you need to have some room around the tires. But anyway, so we have storage here, and this is it's probably full, but this is a complete pass-through.
Goes all the way through.
With the door on the other
very
side. Cool. All these come with with backup cameras, which is important. And this is the hitch point for bike racks or for a hydrolift, and this is, you know, very strong. So we incorporate that. We also don't want to take too much away from the ability for this thing to have a neat departure angle.
Right. So this storage, very well thought out. You didn't go down with the right angle because that would significantly affect your departure angle.
This still has pretty neat departure angle.
Yeah, cool.
Again, the beauty of this is the thickness of the walls of the box. I mean, 3 inches is, you know.
Tell me about transporting this. If you wanted to transport it overseas, or how does the box configuration work? Does the box come off?
No.
Do you ship it as one, or how does it work?
It's shipped. It would have to be shipped on a Ro-Ro, open deck, Ro-Ro ship, which is not an issue. I mean, there are. I know some of our competitors, and Earth Cruiser build a lovely rig, and their claim to fame is that they will fit in a container.
Right.
Blissmobile makes a box that will fit in a container. That is one way to go, but there are plenty of, if you go down to Baja, Mexico, for example, you will see all kinds of German-built MAN rigs, Mercedes running around, and they get there on a ship.
Right.
So you maybe on average, although shipping rates have gone through the roof, a couple of $1,000s more to ship a truck over shipping a in-container truck.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not a big deal.
Right. All right.
The other beauty of this particular platform, as far as I'm concerned, is all of these predate the DEF requirement, the diesel emissions fuel requirement. And on a modern North American spec build truck, you have a very complex diesel truck. You have a very complex emissions computer. And if the fuels aren't right that are going into it, you can go into limp home mode. Now, if you're in limp home mode in the US, depending on your engine, a Cat or a Cummins dealership has to have the right, we call it the briefcase, in order to reprogram it to get you out of that mode. When you're in South America or somewhere else, in a remote place, you don't have that ability. They don't have those backup systems.
Right.
This is a multi-fuel. One of the beauties of these, they're all multi-fuel, meaning they can run on Jet A, JP2, an avgas diesel mix, kerosene, paraffin. The military have to have that ability.
Right.
So you've got fuel filters. Obviously, filtration is important for any fuel. But outside of that, this is an amazing rig for that reason. So if you really want to go anywhere, you need to think about that. In fact, we won't build a diesel truck for somebody that says especially they're going to South America unless it's on this platform.
Right.
And even I believe Earth Cruiser now is moving on to gasoline engines for their Fuso builds because of the same thing. Too many problems with emission controls. So.
Got it.
So let me head inside.
Okay.
And we'll,
Hey, you guys, these highlights videos are brought to you by our community software app, Overland Bound 1, free on iOS and Android, community, trips and events, and map resources, all for free. Layers, MVM, places to camp, all that kind of stuff. We're always adding new stuff to it, so go and download Overland Bound 1 on iOS and Android. All right, let's get back to it. I don't have cameraman insurance.
So this is our 15-foot box,
Okay.
low-profile box. It's 6'2" inside. I'm 6'2". But the rationale here is you spend very little time standing completely erect. You're either at a sink, you're sitting down on the dinette, you're sleeping, you're in the bathroom.
Right.
So it's like we like to say like a private jet.
Right.
Very few of them you can stand up in. This one you can, but for somebody of my height, it's fine. 3-inch thick composite walls. So we have the thickest box in the industry. So they're massive insulation. Think of it like a giant Yeti cooler.
Very cool.
It's heated by an aqua-hot diesel heat system, and it's cooled by a Pioneer inverter, high SEER inverter air conditioning. We had the air conditioning running all day. It's running now. It runs off the solar, so it's quiet.
Now, do you have the solar panels on the roof?
Yeah, we have 1,200 watts.
1,200 watts.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
On the roof. And you can see the inverter is right behind you there.
Yep.
So this box stays lovely and cool. We've had this open to show the Victron energy system. 600 amp hours, 6 lithium-ion batteries in this particular build. Everything is controlled from an app on the smartphone. So that is a nice system. This then folds down. This cushion goes in.
Yep.
This can come down. You can make it like a 9-foot-long bed here, but also you have your queen here.
Got it. Okay. So how many could you sleep if you
Really
needed to?
3, 4, but the cab will only seat 3. So really, this is a 2-3 person rig.
Right. Got it.
We have built one of these with the abilities for 8 people to sleep, mainly children.
Right.
And belted dinettes and extra children's seats in the cab. Well, that was an extreme build, if you ask me.
Right.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids. So you bring up a good point, though. When somebody gets into your production queue and they start working with you, how much ability to customize the build do they have?
A fair bit. I mean, it's first of all, we choose the platform. Is it going to be an LMTV or is it going to be a Mitsubishi or an international?
What about materials in here?
Okay, this is our cabinets are made out of solid quarter sawn oak and soft close hinges and locking mechanisms. So when you're in the off-road situation, nothing's coming open. So real high quality cabinetry in here. The appliances we're using isotherm. There's an isotherm fridge and freezer in this.
With quite a bit of capacity.
Quite a lot of capacity,
Yeah.
And a convection microwave and an induction cooktop. So, pretty well equipped kitchen for the size.
I do really like the pass through into the cab.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really nice.
Well, it's an interesting thing with the LMTV based chassis because we like to keep. we've built some where we've taken the crane, spare tire, moved all that, changed the exhaust. It's a lot of work, and to the rear of the truck, so we can move the box forward. On these Predator EXPs, what we're doing is leaving the crane intact. It's electrically operated. We have to move the induction to one side by about 6 inches, and then we do a pass-through. And as you can see, it's quite a long pass-through because you've got that space between the cab and the box.
Yep.
But as long as you remember to unclip the pass-through before you elevate the cab, you're fine.
Right.
And that was a learning curve. Anyway, it's nice. It's the other thing that's nice is that platform is electrically controlled on a key fob.
Okay.
So for security at night, if you want to, you can hit the button and bring that in, and it's pretty hard for anybody to get in this rig at that
Right.
point.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It is. It's almost like having a, some people like the security, from critters at least, of being in a rooftop tent or something like that. You're certainly elevated up here and above things.
It's going to be tough for somebody to get in.
Yeah.
Obviously the same with a locking door to the from the cab. So even if they got in the cab, they'd have to bust through that to get here.
Yep.
But realistically, it's supremely comfortable in the sense that the cooling capacity, the heating capacity, and the fact that you're in such a thermal envelope.
Yep.
It doesn't take a lot of power. But talking of power, outside of 1200 watts of solar, we have an onboard 4 kilowatt multi-fuel generator, and batteries can be charged house and start batteries charged from the engine too. So you have 3 ways, or 4 ways actually, because you have shore power. If you need it, if you were in a campsite. So you have 4 ways of charging this up.
I was going to ask you about redundancy, and that is redundant all over again. That's 4 redundant 4 ways.
Our aim is to build a true expedition vehicle that you can feel comfortable taking anywhere, and that's our tagline is go anywhere. 130 gallons of fresh water under the queen bed.
Very cool.
So that's a lot less than we put in the last build, which was 250 gallons.
Wow.
But that was a 6x6. So it gives you the ability to go away, really away, and as long as you have food, you could stay, depending on your water usage. But if you're used to a boat type shower, you could stay for a couple of weeks away from everything.
Yeah, that is awesome. Let's talk about the facilities.
Yeah. We try to give if you like, a private bathroom, because quite a few builds that we see, the bathroom is kind of I don't say an afterthought, but it doesn't give much privacy. So this one has a solid wall, solid doors. There's a Thetford cassette toilet, and it has a shower curtain, so it's not really a wet bathroom. It's a quasi-wet bathroom.
Right.
You can keep the vanity area away from the water, which is kind of nice. We have a
nice TV.
Nice TV that's on articulation, so you can see that.
Yep.
The only options that we would put in, and we're still waiting on Elon Musk, but we've signed up for the mobile Starlink, and that would be very nice to go in here. We're not sure at what point that's going to be ready.
People may not understand the profound implication that has for off-road travelers, right? Because people at that point know that they can work. Like this becomes a viable, office workspace with so many people working from home and finding alternative ways to check in. So if you do have that access wherever you go, it's almost like the last checkbox for working remotely.
Interestingly, while at the show, we've had a number of people, both on the phone and calling in and physically coming, who are saying they want to sell their house, have a rig just like this. So they can go away and live and work remotely, and that seems to be, I think COVID's pushed that for a lot of people. So I mean, hopefully that's a busy future for us.
Yeah, it might be one of your customers. My kids are almost out of the house, so at that point,
as we always talk about, all these rigs are compromised, and you can have a Tacoma with a rooftop tent and be perfectly happy. In the fact that you can drive it as a normal everyday vehicle, whereas this is not an everyday vehicle.
Right.
But if you were living full time, I'd rather live in this than a Tacoma with a rooftop tent with plenty of water, shower, and power. You know? So
well, I have an 80 series Land Cruiser. and it's set up to sleep inside. It's got a sleeping platform. But as soon as I start thinking about doing something long term, then my thinking changes around the type of vehicle. And I've often said, you know, my next step up is to hit the road, you know, closer to full time, but I'd want a different platform because such a small vehicle is very difficult to live out of, right?
I think for me personally, with my family, the 6x6 platform is ideal because it's big enough to get a 20-foot box on with a washer dryer.
Yeah.
And, and I think that's another thing people forget. You know, yes, you can bucket wash things, but
very cool.
Bigger is better if you're living full time.
Yeah,
for sure. And the other thing is that, you know, I had somebody say to me, well, I couldn't take this down the trail, I take my Tacoma. And I said, well, then you tow a Jeep or something. And if you want to go serious rock climbing, who's going to take a $335,000 motorhome rock climbing? I mean, it will do it, but why do it?
Well, I mean, that's not my comfort zone.
No.
And I'm not risk averse, but that's not my comfort zone. I'm not rolling this thing.
This one, we can put a hydrolift on the back and you can take your off-road bikes and motorcycles, e-bikes, whatever.
Yep.
But realistically, you're not going to do that with your home. And I don't care whether the truck is a European expedition truck that costs $2 million. They will all break if you abuse them.
That's right.
And people have to realize the limitations of what they're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just said it very elegantly. You're not going to do that with your home. This is your home. Yeah. You're not going to risk it with your home.
Take the rock crawler. At the end of this show, this is available.
Yep,
we'll
absolutely.
talk about we have a 25,000-pound recovery winch. This is to help other people that get stuck.
Right. And it comes with an anchor point.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's.
So this beautiful rig is available.
It's available as built for $335,000. So $335,000 after the show. And I don't think it's going to sit around very long.
How do people get in touch with you?
HunterRMV.com.
HunterRMV.com.
We are one of the few companies, in my estimation, that actually respond to email inquiries through the website and phone calls.
Right on.
We like to think that we're on top of it.
Great.
I've always said that your website's your window to your shop, and if your window is never looked at, that's a problem. But also, if your shop door is never open, that's a problem. So,
right.
Anyway.
Well, Keith, thank you very much for sharing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.